Seeing as there's a new Pokemon game coming out soon, let's start off with a Pokemon question.
Okay then.
What is your favourite evolution?
Oh, Vaporeon. If you don't agree with that, you can fuck off. Come at me. Vaporeon for life, yo. Vaporeon's the best. Brock Harrison, yes, that character does have a last name. He's one of the most popular and enduring characters from the Pokemon series. Weirdly though, the character was temporarily written out of the show when producers realised that maybe the character might come across as massively racist in the West.
First of all, let's just get this out there.
Okay.
Brock is awesome.
Brock is awesome.
Brock
yeah,
is amazing.
I love that character. He's my favourite one in the entire show because he's so pragmatic. Who else but Brock could turn a frying pan into a frying pan? It's such a good line.
It's the best line ever.
It's so good.
It's the fact that clearly there was someone who was doing the translation.
And they were like, yeah. They were rubbing their knees when they thought of that line. I'm going to fucking get this one. I'm going to get paid for writing this line.
Do you remember when we went to that Pokemon-themed costume party?
Oh,
There was a guy there as Brock, and I said, your costume's not complete, mate. And gave him a pan.
Yeah, and he
carried it for the rest of the night.
The entire time. What an absolute fucking hero that guy was.
But no, my favourite thing about Brock is the fact that he, like, to begin with, you don't know this when you're a kid, but he is there for exposition. Almost every one of his lines is explaining something for the audience to understand about Ash's battles. He'll stand there, yeah.
Obviously, he's like the Ash is the viewer avatar, isn't he? So Brock's explaining, yes, this is how, like, poison works. This is how paralysis works.
Because you hear him in the background shouting, "No, Ash!" Like, this is like 50 episodes on. "No, Ash! Lightning attacks will have no effect on a ground Pokemon!" And you're there like, he should know this.
Yeah, but it's nice that Brock's there. And also as well, he should know that, because obviously he's like specialising in rock and ground Pokemon. Reminds me a lot of when I was watching Yu-Gi-Oh! I rewatched it a while ago. And I remember in the very first episode, like, Yugi doesn't know what a trap card is. Some shit like that. He enters a tournament for, like, to find the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Card player in the world. Like, let's find the best Duel Monsters champion. And, like, Yugi doesn't know what a fucking trap card is. One of the 3 types of card in the game. It's like someone plays an effect monster on you. I think when he fights Weevil Underwood for the first time, and Weevil goes, it's an effect monster. He goes, what? An effect monster? It's like, aren't you supposed to be like, you think Yu-Gi-Oh! It translates to King of Games. Like, his title is King of Games. And that's why he beats people. He beats the inventor of, like, Dungeon Dice Monsters on his first turn. And you don't know what a fucking effect monster is. Oh, man, get it together, Yugi, man.
Anyway, Brock.
Okay, Brock.
So why do the producers think that Brock might be perceived as being racist?
Well, according to a storyboard editor for the first season called Masamitsu Hidaka, when the show first started gaining traction in the West, producers started to worry that the character of Brock might be perceived as racist due to his eyes. Or lack thereof, I guess, because he doesn't really fucking have any, does he? Except for that one episode where he opens them and he doesn't fire hyper beams. Have you heard this theory?
What's the theory?
There's one episode of the Pokemon anime where it's revealed that Snorlax fires hyper beams out of its eyes. And there's a joke on the internet, that's why Snorlax never opens its eyes. And the thing is that why Brock never opens his eyes? If he did, he'd fire hyper beams out of them constantly.
So Brock is Cyclops?
Yeah, that's what he's doing. He's controlling his own power. Oh man, I love characters though where they just never see their eyes. It's like Johnny Bravo. I love the idea that you literally never get to see his eyes in any episode, except for the crossover with Scooby-Doo, if you've ever seen it.
No.
There is a Johnny Bravo Scooby-Doo crossover where Johnny Bravo spends the entire episode hitting on Daphne and Velma is like trying to hit on him, and he drops his trademark sunglasses on the floor and Velma drops hers. And he, like, obviously, like, Velma's like, my glasses, I can't see without my glasses. And Johnny's like, my glasses, I can't be seen without my glasses. And he puts her glasses on and she puts his on, and you see Johnny Bravo's eyes for the first time.
Are they tiny?
I don't know, because they're hidden behind Velma's glasses, so you just get to see his pupils.
Oh, right.
But it's like when you get to see Miss Bellamy's face in Powerpuff Girls. There was one episode where you get to see her face, and it's really weird. Now I think about it, that's a weirdly specific trope in a lot of cartoons, isn't it? It's like a character who has like a part of their anatomy you just never see. Like the parents in Cow and Chicken, where they're just like, you only ever see their legs. And then in one episode it reveals they are just sentient walking legs, which is fucking brilliant.
Well, the most famous example is Kenny in South Park.
Oh yeah, well you never see his face. And
originally you're never supposed to see his face.
Yeah, and I like the joke that like Matt Stone and Trey Parker came up with that when they finally reveal what Kenny looks like in the South Park movie, which I think they censored in some of the trailers as like one of the draw points. Like you finally get to see Kenny without his trademark Parker. He just looks like an average kid.
Yeah, there's nothing special about him.
Normal.
Looking back at Brock's face now in 2018 as an adult,
yeah.
I guess I can...
You can kind of see
where they were coming from.
Someone somewhere might have looked at that and gone, maybe just tone that down a little bit. And if you're someone out there who doesn't see why having a character with literal slants for eyes might be a bit racist, here's Father Ted explaining why that is the case. For everyone else out there, before you start to roll your eyes at the idea of an overly sensitive executive censoring something before it even got complained about, remember that this is before Pokemon took off in the West, and the producers were very mindful of the fact not everything in the show would translate to a foreign audience.
There's quite a few examples of that, like the rice jelly donuts thing.
Yeah, that's one that confused a lot of people where, like, if you've not seen the Pokemon anime, at various points in it, Brock refers to what is very clearly not a donut as a jelly donut, because it's obviously... In the original anime, it's a Japanese rice cake, I believe, but they don't have them in the West, so they just call it a fucking donut. And I remember being a kid, like, that's the weirdest looking donut I've ever seen. I was like, I always thought it was a snowball.
Yeah.
Do you remember, like not Tunnocks tea cakes, the Tunnocks snowballs that you used to get, where you pack lunch? I always thought it was one of them. I was like, yeah, 'cause they have, like, the mallow inside and the jam. Maybe it's just, that's what Americans call a donut. I wondered about that for the longest time until I was an adult and found out, no, it's just, like, you know, it's a Japanese show and they didn't think, like, American kids would know what the fuck a rice cake was. I was like, oh, okay.
But the idea of the executives being really cautious in that first season, if you go through that episode list, there are a lot of missing episodes or ones that have been heavily edited.
There are, and we've talked about one before, and that's the one that nearly killed some fucking kids and nearly killed the entire show.
Yeah. Because
it caused them all to have seizures. So, like, Brad will link to, like, the episode we talk about below, but in a nutshell, there was an episode that gave a bunch of kids seizures, and it nearly had Pokemon destroyed. It nearly killed the brand in a day.
Yeah.
So obviously, like, there was a precedent there for something that, like, you know, might make, like, you know, headlines killing the fucking show.
Then there's the guns episode.
Yeah, there's an episode where a guy pulls a fucking gun. There's an episode where James has a massive set of tits for no reason.
And the Jinx one was taken for the exact same reason, but I think that one was probably a bit more warranted.
Yeah, the Jinx one, because you look at that and you go, it's like, that's cutting it fine, is that one?
Well, Jinx, they changed her face to be purple.
Yeah, they made it more purplish, yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah, well, people complained about that. It's like, oh no, you're just like, you know, people are being overly sensitive. It's like, well, they changed it a little. They changed everything about that. They made Pikachu lose weight. Yeah. Stop fat shaming Pikachu. How come that change don't get as much complaints?
But if you look at the sprites for the first Pokemon game compared to the latest one, they're completely different.
Yeah, I love the sprites in the first Pokemon game because they look more like animals.
Yeah.
They look like wild animals. You're just telling to beat the shit out of each other. And obviously, as the series has gone on, they've become like more anthropomorphized. Which obviously, that's fine because that's what happens as the series progresses. Things change. For example, here's a picture of Ash in the first season, and here's him from the latest season. You know, animation styles change, and so does the design of certain characters. It's okay.
So do voice actors. People don't need to have a massive hissy fit about it.
But apparently they do. So yeah, we just changed this character, you know. Because, like, the Jinx one is a really good example of that. Like, the Jinx one, that's bad. It's like, I can see that being like, yeah, maybe change this one. And they did, and that's fine. But the Brock one, which we're talking about today, is the one that always intrigued me because, as I'm about to explain, no one was offended.
So wait, nobody complained about Brock?
Nobody whatsoever. According to that guy I mentioned earlier, the storyboard artist for the first season, nobody in the West, or anywhere in the world for that matter, where Pokemon was aired, ever complained about Brock, his characterization, or the way he looked.
So their fears were completely unfounded?
Not completely unfounded, because obviously we just talked about there, like, there was an episode in Japan that nearly killed the entire brand, and there were several episodes that if they would have aired in the West, unedited, like the gun one, or the one where James gets his tits out, would have been complained about, because obviously, why wouldn't they be? You can't have a kids show where a guy pulls a gun on somebody. The thing is though, producers and executives working on the Pokemon anime didn't realise this until after the decision had already been made to write Brock out of the show and replace him with a tall, non-offensive white guy.
How dare you? How dare you say that wet dishcloth of a person is not offensive?
He was, oh fuck Tracy,
I hate
man.
Tracy so much.
He was such a shit character. And do you know why me and Brad both hated him? Because he wasn't Brock. So I remember when why is Brock gone?
Yeah.
Brock was awesome.
Yeah, why is Brock gone? He's the best one.
He's also as well my favourite fucking character in the games. Like, I love the fact that when you meet Brock for the first time, he's just there. Like that.
Yeah, because he's the first gym leader anyone ever meets when they play through Pokemon.
He's a guy who just stood there, his shirt off like that, going, fucking bring it, and my 20-foot-long rock snake's gonna slap you. He's effectively slapping you with, like, the metaphorical, like, representation of his own dick. Because, like, his Onix is unbeatable in that first game.
Yeah, doesn't his Onix have a move it can't have?
Not the level it is, yeah. It learns Bide. Because obviously that's the move, that's the TM he gives you. And like that, the first Pokemon game is full of shit like that. Lancer's Dragonite. He's cheating fucking Dragonite that evolves before it's an earlier level than a Dragonite is legally allowed to be. And also it knows Barrier, which is a move its evolutionary line cannot learn. And I was so pissed off about that. It's like, oh, I want my Dragonite to learn Barrier. It can't. Only Lance does that. That's called Lance privilege. It's like, fuck you, Lance, and your Barrier using Dragonite. That's
Anyway,
45.
we're raging on Tracy.
No, fuck Tracy. He's so shit a character.
The only good thing about Tracy is that he brought in Marill, and Marill was like one of the first.
Yeah,
aside from
Peekaboo.
Togepi, it was.
Yeah, that was. Don't you remember back in the day? Have you heard there's a blue Pikachu called Peekaboo?
He looks nothing like him.
He does look a bit like him. Because the thing is, every new generation of Pokemon, there's always like the Pikachu, and it's always just like a rat. Except for the only one I ever accept. So they had like fucking Marill, and then they put in fucking
Plusle and Minun.
Plusle and Minun, and then I think they put in Dedenne in one of them now. The only one I'll accept is Pachirisu. Because Pachirisu is a fucking god. It is like the most god tier beast-ass Pokemon ever. Are you aware of why like Pachirisu has this god status?
No.
It's in one of like the world tournaments of like the Pokemon championships. Everyone is abusing the shit out of the meta. Everyone's playing the most OP, busted ass strats ever. I've got like my fucking fully leveled up max IV Dragonite and shit like that. And some guy comes in with a Pachirisu and tanks everything. It tanks a Draco Meteor off a Salamence. And all the audience are just losing their shit over this Pachirisu. Like in the game, it's like this big. It's like a squirrel Pokemon that knows, and it's doing nuzzle. It's just nuzzling the shit out of these legendary god Pokemon. It's like, yes, just this little squirrel just tanking Draco Meteors like it ain't even shit. It's unreal.
Did it win?
Yeah, that guy won. And I think they asked you afterwards, I think when you win, they say you can have a Pokemon dedicated to you. We'll release like a special event Pokemon. He went, oh, Pachirisu. So they released his Pachirisu as like a Pokemon you can get for free online or some shit like that. You can get this god Pachirisu. It's great. Oh man, that thing was amazing. Because all he made it do was just nuzzle. Because it's a move that does 20 damage but always paralyzes. So it's just nuzzle, just like fucking U-turn or some shit. It's like, oh wow, so I tried to kill this squirrel, it tanked my most powerful move, nuzzled me, paralysed me, and then just started gnawing on my shit. Just hyper-fanging up in my asshole, man. How do you beat this shit? It's great.
I would love to have sent that Tracy.
Oh yeah, God, I hate that guy. And that's the thing, like if you were a fan, well, you know, the Pokemon anime, and you wonder why did Brock leave in the second season? Why is he replaced by this, like, you know, tall glass of fucking room temperature water that they didn't eat? Like, you know how I've described Tracy? It's like, don't you say it's a glass of tepid water? I won't even describe him as that. It's a glass of water that's like 2 degrees more than room temperature. Like, it's the glass of water you leave by your bed when you go to bed drunk, and it's the one where you already took sips out, so that much left. So it's the dregs at the bottom, and you look at it and you just pour it down the toilet. It's like, I do not even want to quench my thirst with this shit. That's what he was. Before we continue, just something I want to put out there and ask the audience, because when I researched this, I thought, okay, that makes sense, and I guess, like, you know, like the slant eyes is a stereotype usually, like, you know, aimed at like Asian people, and I can see why some people might find that offensive, or someone might think someone might find that offensive, but am I the only one who thought Brock was black?
Well, I always assumed he was black.
Yeah, I always assumed Brock was black, because he had darker skin than everyone else, and I always assumed, like, his hair was a stylized, like, anime afro, and I found out, like, oh, we wrote him out of the show because we thought, like, you know, people might perceive, like, the way he drew his eyes as being, like, you know, a negative Asian stereotype. And I never saw it as that, even like as, like, you know, older, and you get, like, you know, okay, I can see why Brock's. I always assumed he was a black dude.
The fascinating thing I find about it is because it's a Japanese show and it was Japanese executives who made this decision, that means that they thought that somebody in the West would look at that character and not see that the Japanese wouldn't make a stereotype of themselves.
And also, as well, I like that it's just a stylized character. Like, everyone in that show is... Have you seen Jesse's hair? So have you seen how ridiculous Jesse's hair is? That is a show about... It's just everyone in it has got a strong, defined look. Everyone in it has got a look that you look and that's immediately, instantly recognisable. Like, Jessie's hair, her magical gravity-defying hair that stays on the same side even when she turns around. Have you seen that? Put the clip in. When she turns around on a chair, but her hair stays on the same side. When you look at Brock and you see him in the games, I always thought he was just a guy. It's like a stylised version of a guy staring you down. Like, do you know, the Clint Eastwood squint? Which is what I thought he had. Because like they introduced characters in the show, like the one with the gun. The guy who's got the gun, he also has... like lines for eyes, and I assumed because that guy was based on Clint Eastwood, and that's why I assumed it was. It's the guy giving you like the high noon stare down, but it's just a stylized representation of that, because that's the way I always interpreted Brock's design. Because that very first time you meet him, he's a guy stood away from you, staring you the fuck down, and it's like, oh shit, this guy's got like an army of rock monsters. He's gonna fuck me up.
Why is he called Brock and he's just Rock?
He goes rock Pokemon. Why is Misty called Misty with water Pokemon? Why is Ash called Ash Ketchum and his mission is to catch them all? Or Jesse and James and they both steal Pokemon and they're named after Jesse James the Outlaws.
Did your mind?
And then as well they've got their rivals who were called Butch and Cassidy after Butch Cassidy.
Did you when you talk about Jessie's hair, was your mind blown when you realised why her hair is that way?
No. Well, I don't know what you're talking about. No.
So her hair's like that, so that when they do the pause, it says TR.
No.
Yeah.
Put it in.
Because James does that, and Jessie does like that thing, and her hair makes the R.
I didn't realise that.
Have you
That
never
is
noticed
amazing.
that?
That is like blow my. That, you know, why is the video not about that? Fuck talking about this. That is amazing. I didn't realise that.
Have you never heard that?
No, I've never
right,
noticed
yeah, I'll
it.
put a picture in for you.
Holy shit.
But that's why she's got a long curly hair, because that's the bit of the R that goes round.
Oh my god. Also as well, Pokemon, the one thing that always got me is like, saddest moment in anime, fucking James's Growlithe, man. Leaving that poor Growlithe on its head.
That was a sad moment.
It's the saddest moment, isn't it? Yeah. It's that poor Growlithe. Yeah, never evolved it into like a goddamn Arcanine though, did it? So then he can have his Turbo Wolf. I'm pretty sure like a dog, that's like, cause the thing about Arcanine is, you know what its typing is? It's called the legendary Pokemon. And it can run at 1,000 miles an hour. I'm pretty sure that would come in handy fighting Ash.
But Arcanine was originally meant to be a legendary.
It was, wasn't it? And that's where the idea for legendary dogs in the next game come from. Learning some shit today.
Oh, man.
To swing this all back around to what we were talking about before, everyone in that show has a stylized, iconic design, except for Tracy. Fuck that guy. He's so boring. What's his design? T-shirt and shorts. I get it. He's like he lives on an island. It's supposed to be like that, but T-shirt, shorts, and a shitty red bandana. Yeah. Wow, what a strong look. I can't wait to cosplay that.
He's got hair that looks like a fucking crow lands on his head.
It's so stupid.
It's so stupid.
The thing is, it's so boring. It's so bland. And if anyone's ever wondered why that guy's so boring, it's partly to do with the fact he was introduced as a non-offensive replacement for Brock. But here's the thing. He didn't end up being that.
So what do you mean by that?
Well, after introducing this new character, Tracy, engaging fan reaction, the executives and producers realised something, that fact I mentioned earlier, that no one at all, anywhere in the entire world had complained about Brock. Do you know what they did complain about, though? Tracy, yeah. And in fact, they got more complaints about Tracy than they ever got about Brock. And remember, no one complained about Brock, meaning technically infinitely more people were pissed off and offended by the inclusion of Tracy than they were about Brock and he's getting written out of the show.
I can fathom
that. That's amazing. Infinitely more people were pissed off at the introduction of this bland, not even vanilla. What's less than vanilla? Because vanilla is at least palatable.
Air flavoured ice cream.
You know what? Air's nice. I like breathing fresh air. You know what? Sucking a second-hand vape smoke guy. That's what it is. The hardest thing to choke down.
If they brought back Tracy, he'd be a vape smoker now.
Oh, he would, wouldn't he? Tracy is he's a key member of Vape Nation, ripping the fattest ass. Fuck that guy. You can tell by his bandana. You can tell he's into craft beer and everything. Oh, him his stupid fucking orange backpack. He can suck my thumb. Blue t-shirt, red bandana, red shirt. The thing is though, do you know what Brock's got? He's got a colour scheme. Tracy never fucking did. Red bandana, blue t-shirt and orange backpack. Who the fuck dressed that guy? But I love the idea that, executives who were rightfully nervous about maybe there might be some aspects of his character people might find offensive. So let's just write him out, just to be sure. Had no idea how popular the character would be, and after writing him out of the show and replacing him with this new character, they thought, oh, well, everyone's going to love this character. There's nothing to be offended by this character. And that's what offended people, because he's got no characterisation. Some people are like, no, we love Brock, we love his design, we hate this new guy, get rid of the new guy. And the fact they complained just in droves about him and how shit he was. That's great. As beautiful as that shot was, I like to follow up with what I think is like a glorious chase. Because in that same interview I mentioned earlier, where a storyboard artist mentioned that they wrote Brock out of the show because people might potentially perceive him as being racist, they also noted quite happily that they included a new female character on the show every other episode as eye candy for all the boys watching at home.
Aren't the majority of them meant to be like 10 or 11?
Yeah. Why weren't more people offended about that?
That eye candy line is a bit...
eye-opening, isn't it?
Yeah.
They were worried enough about Brock potentially being perceived as being like racist to somebody in the West that they completely writ him out of the show. And in the same interview, happily note, oh yeah, we included loads of women with massive tits in this show for like, all the young boys at home as eye candy in a show that's like aimed at kids and stars kids, including one episode we mentioned where James has a massive set of tits and then tit shames Misty, who I don't know how old she is in the show, but it's definitely like under like 15 years old for not having as big a breast as him, a man. I think that's the bow that wraps everything up. So, oh no, we had to write Brock out because that might be potentially offensive. But look at these tits! These tits are amazing. It's okay.
On a similar note, while we're talking about Brock, like that character, his eyes aren't the thing you'd be offended by.
No, it's the way he treats
women.
Because like it's a running joke throughout the season. He's like terminally bad with women. But there are some moments that I've like you can look back on now with like that cynical 2018 eye and go, that's not really a good message to impart upon children, is it? Like the one where I think because there's a crush on every Officer Jenny, and the joke is that every Officer Jenny looks exactly the same. And Ash asks him, how do you tell the difference between all the Officer Jennys? And he says, oh yeah, this Officer Jenny wears this type of perfume and this one wears her skirt this way and this one wears like a badge on the other side. And it's like, what guy takes that much notice of a woman that he notices when her identical twin sister wears a different brand of perfume?
And fancies them all.
Yeah, I get it's a joke, but at the same time it's like, come on man, it's not that bad.
There are some like horrifically bad lines. Like I rewatched some Pokemon and there's some of the stuff that Brock says to women is not okay.
It's not.
I'll find a few choice examples.
Yeah, go on. Put a few choice examples. And obviously, like, it's a we know it's a cartoon. Before you go in the comments and complain, oh, it's just a cartoon. Don't get your panties in a bunch. We know that. It's just when you look at it now as an adult with that hazy, cynical 2018 eye, you look at it and you go, yeah, that probably won't fly on TV today, would it? It's like you might have to tone that down a little bit, which they did in I think the late 60s. Obviously, Pokemon's still going on, and I think they did tone down Brock's characterization or make it worse, but obviously make it more obviously a parody.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what exactly they did, so I've not seen the latest season.
I'm pretty sure there are bits where he like drags women away, like grabs them by their hands and yanks them away.
He tries to, yeah, well then the joke is that Misty always grabs him by the hair and drags him away. Let's not talk about that because I'm sure the comments section is angry enough. So let's just talk about what's your favourite gym leader in Pokemon?
Ooh.
Because I do like Brock in the very first game. I love his design. Like we talked about it earlier, and I love the fact that he's just this ominous figure stood at the end of a room with his shirt off and his arms crossed, just basically saying, "Come at me, bro." I love that idea. But I think the one that I've always loved, like design-wise and all that shit, is Sabrina.
Oh yeah.
I love the idea that the huge big buff dude next door with like all the fighting Pokemon loses to just this girl in a school outfit with who's floating balls around, and he's like, oh, I can't defeat her. And I love that idea. It's this idea of a trainer who's just that good.
I like Blaine.
Blaine. Oh, is he the guy with the glasses? The fire one.
Yeah, he's the one who lives in the volcano.
Oh, he lives in a fucking volcano. That's the best. So let's just talk about what's your favourite character in the Pokemon series that isn't Brock?
That isn't Brock.
Gary.
Gary,
oh man.
Of course it's Gary. Gary who somehow has 10 badges at one point.
Just Gary Oak and his 10-foot long dick. Gary Oak's dick walks into a room 5 minutes before he does. Oh, you don't mind? Mine's red. Red from like the original manga and like obviously the games, because I love the idea of like a completely silent protagonist. 'Cause he comes back in virtually every mainline Pokemon game, which is like unbeatable god character who just stands on top of a mountain, continually like making his Pikachu headbutt a wall. It's like, I love that idea, and I love the short anime they made about Red, where he basically in the end of it turns into Dragon Ball Z. Have you ever seen it?
No.
Where he goes and fights Mewtwo. And the fight between Mewtwo and Charizard just turns into a Dragon Ball Z fight because Charizard just starts doing fucking slash cutters to Mewtwo's asshole. And Mewtwo's like, I didn't expect this. I don't know how to fight this. It's like, I'm sat here in my cave meditating with like all this like, nigh unlimited psionic power. And this 10-year-old kid comes in like a dickhead on the back of a Lapras, throws an Ultra Ball at my head. And then just a Charizard starts coming up and just starts doing combos on me. And what am I supposed to do about that?
And
it's great.
Evolves.
What? Oh, then he Mega Evolves. Yeah, it's a Mega Charizard, which looks dumb as fuck.
It does a bit.
I hate Mega Charizard. It looks so stupid. The constant blue flames coming out of its mouth looks so stupid.
I get it, because it's meant to look a bit like the Asian lung dragons.
Yeah. But have you seen like newer seasons of Pokemon, the fights in it? Some of the fights in them are better than fights in fucking Dragon Ball. It's ridiculous. Like, they put in, like, it's like One Punch Man style animation in some of those fight scenes. It's ridiculous.
I've seen the Dragonite versus Charizard one.
Oh my god, they're all so fucking good. So we've got a long way, haven't we, from just, like, Porygon giving people seizures to just, like, actual full-on, like, fist fights between Charizard and Mewtwo. It's awesome.
I think right now, I'm gonna show you a meme that you may not have seen
What's
about
that?
Gary Oak and his girth. Have you seen it?
I have not seen the meme about Gary Oak's girth. No.
We'll look at it now, and if anyone's still watching, they can find it afterwards.
Okay, cool.
You can't handle his girth.